Hello, Grats and Gits. We did it. I'm freaking pumped up for this one. My stream is a little bit later today because I had some baby stuff to be doing this morning, but I'm freaking pumped up and I'm amped up, and we have a ton to talk about with the new demons. Right off the bat, just so everyone can get this out of the way, all 4 of these detachments are awesome. One of them is going to be hard to play, but once people figure out like all the shenanigans behind it and get it really working, that's Nurgle, by the way. It's going to be a lot better than people are thinking right now. The other 3 detachments are all freaking good. It's all good. There's so much good stuff in this 4 detachment release. I got to be honest with you guys. It's pretty freaking inspiring. I didn't think they were going to be doing this good job. So let's jump into it. Thanks so much. Oh, we got Magic Dad in the chat. We got Loud Love Taps. Oh, what a spicy, saucy name you got there, Loud Love Taps. So let's get into it. There's a lot of really cool stuff, and I'm pretty pumped up to break it down. The first one is going to be the most brutal of them all, as it should be. This is the Khorne detachment, known ever so lovingly as the Blood Legion. All right, so let's start talking about the Blood Legion here. This has a detachment rule that I think is really cool called Murder Call. And a lot of people are looking at it and they're talking to me and they're saying, oh, it's too easy to play around. It's too easy to play around. I'm like, wait a second. This thing is not easy to play around. It's simple to play around. But if you choose to play around this army rule, you're going to get screwed constantly. So let's talk about this enigmatic army rule, which I freaking love. Each time an enemy unit, excluding aircraft, ends a normal or advanced move within 6 inches of 1 or more Legionnaire Daemonica Khorne units from your army. Now, it is really important to read that where it says ends a normal or advanced move. It doesn't say fall back, oddly enough. But there's something else later on. From your army, one of those Legionnaire's Daemonica Khorne units can make a surge move towards said enemy unit. To do so, roll 1d6, and models in your unit move a number of inches up to this result. But your unit must end that move as close as possible to said enemy unit, and when doing so, your models can be moved within engagement range. This is powerful. You can't surge if you're already in engagement range. Okay, there's that. It doesn't matter at all. This rocks. It's super, super powerful, and it's very, very good. Effectively, anytime your opponent really wants to move anywhere, you just straight up get to potentially move into engagement range. Now, your opponent's going to be able to avoid this, and they're going to be avoiding this by just saying, oh, well, I'll just stop 6 inches away from you. But every time they stop 6 inches away from you, guess what happens? Now they're denied angles for shooting. Now they're denied the ability to, say, get onto an objective or to get onto an area denial. It's also really important that this isn't phase locked. It just says ends a normal or advanced move. So let's say that we are, I don't know, in the shooting phase where I shoot you with my Reavers and now I get to do a normal move of d6 inches. If I end that normal move within range, then you get to Blood Surge. So it's not phase locked, and that's really, really strong. And I feel like a lot of people are not really going to be paying attention to that. So I want you guys to pay attention to that so you can really crump your opponents with love and joy. So the next part of this detachment rule is going to be the Blood Tainted, and effectively what it is it's going to give you sticky objectives. Assuming you kill some people while they're on the objective, you're going to get the sticky. Sticky's always good. It's that sticky dicky. People like it. It's important. Now let's talk about some of these freaking enhancements, and I'm going to give you kind of a rundown. By the way, this is not my favorite detachment for the freaking demons, just so everyone's clear, even though I love this. Don't get me wrong. That's how cool some of these detachments are. And I'm about as much like, I'm just going to run forward and punch you in the face, like as a player as possible. This is actually not my favorite Demons detachment. So let's talk about some of these enhancements. The first one is going to be the Slaughter Thirst Aura for 35 points. That is a lot of points. Legion's Daemonica Khorne model only, while a friendly Legion's Daemonica Khorne unit that is not a monster is within 6 inches of the bearer. Weapons equipped by models in that unit have lance. This is cool. I don't really think I'll be taking this, to be honest with you. I know some people might think it's really great to get like Bloodletter's Lance or even your Blood Crusher's Lance. I'm not really sold on it, but perhaps on like a Blood Crusher. So if I wanted to put this on what was it called? A Blood, not the Blood Master. I think it's called the Slaughter Master. Skullmaster. Skullmaster is the one that leads the what do you call them? The Blood Crushers of Khorne. So that would probably be the place to put this, so that all of those Blood Crushers, when they're charging in, well, their riders are going to get Lance, and it's not just going to be on the mounts. Then we have Fury's Cage for 20 points. This is going to go on a Khorne monster, which means a Bloodthirster. Each time the bearer is selected to fight, it can use this enhancement. If it does, the bearer suffers D3 plus 1 mortal wounds, and until the end of the phase, each time it makes an attack, you could reroll the hit and wound roll. So this is going on your Bloodthirster. Guys, I think you're always taking this. And I just think you're always taking this. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, but you can hurt yourself with the mortal wounds. Bloodthirsters die instantly anyway. So like the reality is that once your Bloodthirster is either targeted in shooting or in melee, he's going to die regardless. So I don't think you actually care about taking mortal wounds on him if it gets you full rerolls to hit and full rerolls to wound. It's basically just going to guarantee that you get the damage done that you need to get done. And he's going to die anyway, man. The Bloodthirsters are like the definition of suicide missiles. So I think that's it. Yeah, that's also a good point. So Vio just had a good point. Keyword monster character can also be the Demon Prince. And actually, there's a few scenarios in this game or in these detachments where I think we're going to want Demon Princes. Specifically, Demon Princes with wings. But we'll get into that in some of the other detachments. All right, then we have the Brazen Maw. This is amazing. 1 Legionaries Demonica Khorne model only. Add 2 to the charge rolls, make the bear's unit. You're always going to take this, and you're always going to put it on a Skullmaster leading your freaking Blood Crushers. Because now, suddenly, when you combine this with their, I think it's the instrument that the unit already has, you're getting +3 to charge every single time. Boom. So if they're doing a deep strike charge, a 9-inch deep strike charge, they still only need a 6 on the dice. So this kind of replaces some of the weaknesses that we get by losing the other detachment, the index detachment, which will give us those 6-inch deep strike charges. Now we're actually still getting +3 inches of charge. It's a really big deal, and I think it's very, very valuable. And as you'll see later on, we do have access to Advance and Charge, which means Advance and Charge with +2, well, really with +3 to charge, is super, super strong. So I always want this on my Blood Crushers. Then we have, lastly, Gateway unto Damnation. Please don't demonetize me, YouTube, for saying damnation. I'll say it again, damnation. Legionaries Demonica Khorne monster model only. So this is going to go on your second Bloodthirster, because you're probably going to take more than one. The Bearer's Deadly Demise ability inflicts mortal wounds on a D6 roll of 2+, instead of on a 6. In addition, if the Bearer has destroyed 1 or more enemy units this battle, the Bearer has the Deadly Demise D3+3 ability instead of any other Deadly Demise abilities. So when you die, you just cause D6 mortal wounds or D3+3 mortal wounds to everything around you. That's strong. I think it's going to be kind of hilarious when people forget which Bloodthirster has this enhancement and they end up murdering their own army because they positioned incorrectly. But it's cool. I think there's actually value in it. Now, people will say, oh, well, you'll never get to use it because everyone's going to know they're not going to end normal moves within 6 inches of you. But if they don't move within 6 inches of you during the shooting phase, or in the movement phase or in the shooting phase, because they're afraid of you exploding on them, then they're not moving anywhere, which is kind of great for you. So that's awesome. We got our first Super Chat of the night from the Quack Pack himself. Always looking forward to your videos. Keep up the great content, brother. Hey, man, dude, I super appreciate you. That means the world. Listen, that is going straight into the diaper fund, so you're a rock star. And thanks so much, Quack Pack. And not to be outdone, we got Mass Bro Fucked. Running forward and punching people in the face is super fun. Bro, listen, I kind of agree with you. In another life, just so you all know, I was a MMA fighter. I fought Muay Thai. I was a Jiu-Jitsu fighter, and I missed that life. And I miss it a lot. So, Mass Brofek, I love you, and I appreciate you for the support as well. You guys are both rock stars. Let's get back into these freaking Khorne demons. And just know that I'm going to be able to get more diapers now because of y'all. All right, Wrath Undeniable. This is an awesome stratagem. It is a fight on death stratagem. And one of the really interesting things about your Khorne demons is they are all made of glass, meaning they're all going to die. So now you get to at least activate. Not bad. 1 CP just to get to activate. Typically, I kind of hate it, but in an army that is literally only melee, this is great. It also will help you counter some of those pesky fights first units. Just as a quick little hint, I'd be willing to freaking bet you're going to start seeing some fight first Blade Guard vet squads in your Gladius and your Ironstorm list that are running 3 freaking Whirlwinds. Because those are amazing units to defend the home field. And I think having a fight on death is going to be very valuable for helping to break through those dirty girls. Blood Begets Skulls, which is in your charge phase. Advance and Charge. Sick. We love it. Advance and Charge is awesome, especially on our Move 12 big demons or our mounted cavalry. If only they had the ability to move through a wall. Oh, wait! We can with Gore Hungry Onslaught. Your movement phase or your charge phase, which is really important because some of these are worded to be only movement phase locked. This is worded for your movement phase or your charge phase. Amazing. Now you can just move straight through terrain. This enables Skarbrand in this detachment, which is really, really sick. So now Skarbrand can hide behind some big tall ruin, especially if you're on WTC terrain, or a GW terrain, and you can just walk them through the terrain. You can also advance and charge them if you want, or you could do the same thing with your, freaking Blood Crushers, which we've already spoken about. They're mounted. Mounted's big issue is that it's really hard to maneuver them, and now that we've lost the 6-inch deep strike, it makes it really challenging. But now we get to move straight through walls, and it makes them awesome. So I'm a huge fan of this stratagem. I think it really makes this detachment operate. You've got advance and charge, and you've got move through walls. Very big deals here. Then we get the Fool's Flight. Fool's Flight. Your opponent's movement phase just after an enemy unit falls back. One Legion's Demonica Khorne unit from your army that is within 6 inches of that enemy unit and would be eligible to declare a charge against the enemy unit. This is one of the best stratagems in the entire freaking game. This is amazing. Unreasonably powerful. Your opponent falls back, 2 CP, boom, you charge them. Now you're stuck in combat and your opponent is screwed. What if this is one of those devastating units that has the ability to fall back and shoot? Well, now that they just fall back, you just get right into their face and you wreck them in half. This stratagem is unbelievably powerful. This is unbelievably powerful on a multitude of units. It's busted on a freaking Bloodthirster. On Blood Crushers, it's amazing, because guess what happens when they complete a charge? Blood Crushers, when they complete a charge, here's 6 D3 mortal wounds. Like, it's a stunning amount of freaking mortal wounds, which they could cause in your opponent's movement phase in that scenario. It's wild. Just remember, for those of you who are reading this, when it says your unit does not receive any charge bonus this turn, please recall that the charge bonus is very specifically defined as the fight's first ability you get from charging. So this doesn't mean that you don't get to do your mortal wounds on your Blood Crushers, which you do. Basically, Blood Crushers love this detachment so much. And it's pretty cool to see, because actually I wasn't a big fan of all the Blood Crushers in the other detachment. I kind of love them here. Skulls beget blood. Your shooting phase, it's grenade strat. Really, really cool. It's a grenade strat that is not linked to advancing, falling back, all these things. So you can still advance. You can throw your freaking grenades, and that's really strong. Or it's not actually grenades. It's skulls beget blood. But it's an 8. If you have an enemy within 8 inches invisible of you, roll 66. Every 4 up, you suffer mortal wounds. So it's basically grenades like it was before the Pariah Nexus change, which is very freaking powerful. And it's really, really useful for Khorne demons to be able to just pop out a little bit. Super good. And then lastly, we got the Sheathed in Brass. This one is interesting to me. I'm not certain how much I like it, but I do know that it could be game-changing for a unit of Bloodletters, because now a unit of Bloodletters might actually be able to survive Bolter Fire, which is astonishing. You just get to give your units a save characteristic of 3 up until the end of the phase. I don't think it's the best stratagem, but in this army, it could actually find some niche uses. So guys, that's Khorne. What do you think? Like, I want to hear in chat, what do you guys think about the Khorne detachment? I think it's sick. I think there's some really cool, interesting play. I think it's awesome. And to be clear, you can still run other demons in the Khorne detachment. They just won't benefit really from it. So, but other demons are still totally eligible to be in here. Like, I would probably still take a single unit of Plague Bearers just to give myself sticky objectives. I would probably still take some freaking Nurglings to provide -1 to hit in melee. Like, there are things I would still take that are not strictly Khorne here, even though they don't benefit from the detachment, because it would be strong. Let's go on to the Khorne's mortal enemy. We're going to talk about Tzeentch here. Now, this is a detachment that when I initially read it, guys, I actually straight up thought this detachment was trash. Then I read it again, and I was like, oh, this detachment is not trash. And then I read it again, and I was like, oh, this is a good detachment. It's pretty scary. It's not nearly as cool or nearly as fun as Khorne, just because it's stupid Tzeentch, but it is strong. So let's read through it. I'm going to more or less simplify this, okay? Fates in Flux, this ability. You start the battle round with 3 Flux tokens. Every Flux token can be used to reroll an advance, hit roll, wound roll, damage roll, saving throw, or hazardous test. Got it. All right. It's basically a more or less a free command point reroll, right? Now, every time you spend a flux point, your opponent gets a flux point. So you lose one, and your opponent gets one. So if you start with 3, and you have to reroll an advance roll in the first turn, and by spending 1, now you have 2, and your opponent has 1. Now, your opponent can always spend flux tokens on advance rolls, hit rolls, wound rolls, or saving throws. Interestingly enough, screw them. They don't get to re-roll damage rolls or hazardous rolls. That's funny. That's just funny to me. And then every single time they spend one of them, you gain a Flux token. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Now, let's read a little bit about how these Flux tokens actually apply. So Inescapable Eye is an enhancement that is amazing and will always be taken in every single detachment, bar freaking none. Inescapable Eye. Any Tzeentch model. In your command phase, if the bearer is on the battlefield, if your opponent has one or more Flux tokens, you'll gain one additional Flux token. You're going to put that on any cheap character that you can, who's just going to be standing on your home field objective and not moving all game. Then Infernal Puppeteer for 10 points. This only goes on monsters, so, your big chickens. Oh, crud, big chickens. Lord of Change. Each time the bearer's unit is selected to shoot, you get to select one other friendly Legion's Demonica Tzeentch unit within 9 inches of the bearer. And if you do, when selecting targets for ranged weapons equipped by the bearer, you get to measure range and determine visibility from a model of your choice in the selected unit instead. What does this do for us? It effectively means that you have much, much, much better indirect shooting. Because now you get to draw line of sight from the model that you choose, not the unit that you choose. And the reason why that is so important is that since it's model, now you're going to be able to get angles to ignore cover. Now you're going to be able to get angles that it's going to dramatically extend your range of your weapon. This is very, very strong, and it's going to be really, really useful. And then we're going to look at the Neverblade. This is a hilarious enhancement that, oddly enough, I think is really good, and we're going to put on a combat character. I'm not sure people are thinking exactly what combat character, but I'm going to give you an idea of a different combat character to put it on. Oh, by the way, shout out. This is not a sponsor, by the way. It's just some people I like. For Slam Sector, they do battle reports. I met some of these guys when I was at the World Championships, and they were playing the Grand Narrative. Really cool guys. So they do battle reports, and they're super fun. So I don't know, just shout out to them. They gave me a koozie, which means I like them. Anyway, moving on. Neverblade, and Vio guessed it, 100%. You're putting this on a Winged Demon Prince. Neverblade is sick. Improve the strengths characteristic of melee weapons equipped by the bearer by 2. Improve the attacks and AP by 1, and each time they make a melee attack, add 1 to the hit roll. So now your Demon Prince is going to be up to Strength 10, AP 3 damage, 3 with 7 attacks instead of 6. This combination is going to get better later on, by the way. This is actually really strong, and it's going to, and remember, your Demon Prince, probably Demon Prince with wings, if I'm not mistaken, your Demon Prince with wings is also going to be able to choose between, was it precision, lethal, or sustained hits when he's doing this as well. And once per game, he can give himself 3 bonus attacks. Boom, suddenly he's going to have a turn where he goes to 10 attacks with strength 10, AP 3, damage 3. And it actually gets better too, so just bear with me. We'll get to the stress. I'll break that combo down for you even better. This guy will actually, just wreck faces. Then we have the Improbable Shield. This is the last enhancement for this attachment. Legion's Demonica Tzeentch model only. While a friendly Legion's Demonica Tzeentch unit is within 6 inches of the bearer, models of that unit have a 4-up Feel No Pain against psychic attacks and mortal wounds. You put this on a big chicken, because I'm pretty sure you're going to be taking big chickens. I think that's a good, solid rule. It's just nice to have. All right, now let's talk about some of these freaking strats, because guess what? They have potentially the best stratagem in the entire game over here. And I missed it the first time I read through it, but I got it the second time, so I'm going to break it down for you. It's not this first one, but I gotta raise the attention. I'm gonna titillate you with information first. Impossible Eclipse. Any phase. 1 Legion Demonica Tzeentch monster unit from your army that is on the battlefield. Select No Man's Land or your opponent's deployment zone. Or spend 1 Flux token and spend both. Until the end of the phase, the selected areas of the battlefield are within your army's Shadow of Chaos. Strong. 1 CP, suddenly all of your enemies' units who happen to be under half strength, and they're going to have to take battle shock tests, now you can just make it so it's at -1, because you can do this in your opponent's command phase, right? So now all the battle shocks they have to take are going to be at -1, and if they fail, boom, these bad boys are going to be suffering D3 mortal wounds. Very, very strong. Or, on the other side, let's say you have a bunch of wounded monsters that are under half strength, you've got some battle line units that are under half strength, you're going to use it in your own command phase, and now all your own units are going to be at +1 to their leadership because you're within your Shadow of Chaos. And now you all heal D3 or regenerate D3 models. Very strong. Very, very strong. I think it's super, super powerful. Then we have the Fateborn Nightmares. Your movement phase or your charge phase. This is going to be showing up in basically every single Demon's detachment until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit makes a move, it can move through terrain features. Now, it is terrain features. It's not just, right, so this is really good. You just become Kool-Aid Man, and that rocks. Pyrogenesis is 2 CP. This stratagem is going to give us one of the coolest combinations. And I love it, even though I don't like Tzeentch and I won't play Tzeentch. I love the combination. Here we go. Your shooting phase or the fight phase. 1 Legion Demonica Tzeentch unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot or fight that phase until the end of the phase. Add 2 to the strength characteristic of weapons equipped by models in your unit. Or spend 1 flux token and add 3 to the strength characteristic of said weapons. And improve the AP characteristic of those weapons by 1 instead. Now, instantaneously, what are people talking about with this? Like, where are we going with this? Well, instantaneously, you're going to always spend 1 CP or 1 flux token, and you're going to make sure that you have a Flamers unit that's within 6 inches of the freaking Lord of Change. So now those Flamers are going to go up to Strength 8. They're Strength 4 base, plus 3 for the strat, plus 1 for being within the aura of the Lord of Change, and then they're going to go up to AP 2 on their Flamers. And since they have fallback and shoot with their Flamers, they're always going to be activating these Flamers. This is gross. Gross. Very strong. But that's not my favorite combination of using this strat. Here's where I really want to use this strat, okay? Pyrogenesis. I want to use this on my Demon Prince. Because now, once per game, my Demon Prince is going to go up to 10 attacks that are going to be strength 13, AP 4, damage 3. And he's going to give himself sustained hits. That's disgusting. That is super strong. We're going to put that on the same Demon Prince who took the Never Blade, and it is going to be absolutely nasty. And for a turn, your opponent's going to be like, I thought I was playing against Khorne. And you're like, no, nerd, you're playing against Tzeentch, and allow me to zap you. Alright, so I love that stratagem. There's a lot of uses for it. Thank goodness it's 2 CP because it's really strong. Now, Fickle Fire, here we go. Your shooting phase. 1 Legion Demonica Tzeentch unit from your army that is within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. Until the end of the phase, enemy units are not considered to be within engagement range of your unit for purposes of selecting targets and resolving attacks with ranged weapons. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy model is destroyed while its unit is within engagement range of your unit, roll 1d6 on a 5+. Your unit suffers 1 mortal wound after the attacking unit has finished making its attacks. Okay, so basically, you can't be locked in melee. You can always shoot the infantry if they're in melee. You can shoot blast guns into melee with this, it looks like. I don't see any reason why you can't shoot blast guns. Someone fact-check me on that one, but I'm almost positive that's true. Being able to shoot blast weapons into melee is super strong. This is a really good stratagem, and it's really strong on this detachment that just basically wants to be shooting everywhere, unless your name is the Demon Prince with the Neverblade, in which case you just want to be wrecking face up to, up close. All right, we got 2 more strats here, and then the last strat is going to be possibly the best strat in the game, but let's talk about the Flickering Reality first. Fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. 1 Legion's Demonica Tzeentch unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attacks. This is actually really sick. Roll 1d6. Then you can spend 1 of your flux tokens to reroll the result, if you so please. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit on an unmodified roll of said result, the attack sequence ends even if the original hit would have been a critical hit. This is insane. So basically, Flickering Reality, for 1 CP, you're going to hope that you roll a 6. And if you do, or you spend a flux token trying to get the 6, if you roll a 6 here, your opponent can't hit you on 6s. And if it's a lethal or it's a sustained hit, doesn't matter. It still doesn't hit or wound you. That's bonkers. That's really strong. Like, that's extremely powerful. You can just turn off all critical hits. If you, of course, you'll have to roll the 6 to do that. Most of the time, what you're probably going to see here is you're going to be like, all right, your units, they can't hit me on 5s. And which is going to be still dramatic, because most units desperately want to be hitting you on 5s. So this is always going to be good, if almost always going to be good. And sometimes it's going to be bonkers. And then lastly, we have the best stratagem in the game. This is super cool. End of your opponent's fight phase. Target 1 Legion Demonica Tzeentch unit from your army that is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. Alternatively, you can spend 1 flux token when you use this stratagem and target up to 2 Tzeentch units. There's no keyword lock. This works on monsters as well, mind you, from your army instead. Including, look at this wording, including, meaning this was very intentional, meaning it will not be errata because this was intentional, those within engagement range of one or more enemy units. Remove your units from the battlefield and place them in strat reserves. Guys, you can't interact with this army. If you don't kill them on the charge, they're just going to be picked up into Deep Strike and say, bye, I'm out. I don't have to fall back from you. I'm just going to peace out right now. And then I'm going to come back in and I'm going to wreck faces. This strategem's amazing. This detachment is so much better than what I originally thought when I was looking at it. It's so much better, and it's really, really cool to see how it's actually going to perform on the battlefield. I really think there's a lot of play here. Who knew? Who knew? And just remember, guys, this doesn't have to be mono Tzeentch. Only Tzeentch units are going to be able to benefit from the strats. But the flux tokens, as far as I can tell, can be used on anyone, which is just generally cool. No, it can't. Never mind. I'm a liar. Ignore me. I'm a liar. I fixed it. So the your flux tokens can only be used on your Tzeentch units as well. All right, anyway, but you can still bring other demon units in here to kind of make up for some weaknesses. So if you wanted sticky objectives, or if you wanted like a fast infantry unit, you can do things like that. Honestly, you could still bring a bloodthirster here. I don't think I would, but you could. This is fun. All right, I'm gonna go on into my personal favorite detachment now. This is my detachment that I'm probably actually going to play. I've played a lot of demons. I was actually really strongly considering bringing them to the World Championships. And now I'm going to probably go back to playing some demons because this one looks really, really sick. We're talking about Slannesh, the Legion of Excess. I love this detachment. I think it's extremely good, and there's some really crazy good builds that we can make here. The detachment rule. By the way, if you guys are hanging out with me right now, if you're enjoying the stream and you're enjoying me bringing it to you, hit the like button, please, and just share it with your friends because I love doing this. And if you guys enjoy it, just do it because that helps me out a lot. All right, anyway, let's get into this beguiling aura. Legions Demonica Slannesh units from your army are always eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which they fell back. Just a solid rule. You can always fall back and charge. It's good. We like it. But then we have the really spicy and really, really, really exciting rule. Seductive Gambit. All of your Slannesh demons have the following ability. Each time this unit ends a charge move, you could declare it will perform a Seductive Gambit. And if you do, until the end of the turn, your unit does not have the fight's first ability. But instead, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, you get to reroll the hit roll and reroll the wound roll. This is strong. What's really cool is that it's not in your charge turn, it's just linked to the charge move. So this does proc if you perform a heroic intervention, for example. This is really, really strong. The amount of dev wounds, the amount of units in the Slannesh demons that have dev wounds is very high. Guys, you're going to be fishing for some dev wounds here. All right, let's talk about some of these freaking enhancements, and I'm going to break you down with some of the just combinations I'm thinking about for the Slannesh demons. So the first one is False Majesty. It's an aura, 30 points. Put it on any Slannesh demon model, and while a Slannesh unit that's not a monster is within 6 inches of the bearer, each time a model in the unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll. Cool. I think it's really cool to see Daemonettes with +1 to wound. I probably wouldn't be using it on Daemonettes, to be honest with you, simply because they're gonna die to like literally anything. I would probably figure out. I've got to figure out what character I'm gonna put this on because this is really strong with, say, like what are they called? The Fiends of Slannesh. The Fiends of Slannesh basically love this. I'm just not sure how I would really figure that one out. Like, what would I put it on to carry for them? I'm not sure. But there's going to be some use for this aura. It's strong. It's a strong enhancement. There's going to be some use for it. I'm going to figure it out. And when I do, I will let you all know. Then we have the Dreaming Crown, which is yet another one of these super sexy and spicy little auras. 30 points. While a friendly Slannesh unit that is not a monster is within 6 inches, each time a model in the unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the hit roll. Also good. I think 1 to the wound roll is better than 1 to the hit roll. But it is very solid. Your Daemonettes will basically never need this because they're pretty much always going to be rerolling the hit rolls. The Fiends like this one a lot, but once again, with this super cool ability of just being able to reroll your hit and wound rolls, I mean, maybe these are a little unnecessary. I think these are both good enhancements, and I like them, but I don't think they're necessary, which, maybe I'll prove wrong as I play through it with a few rounds, but just off my initial read-through, I'm not thinking these enhancements are necessary, but they are cool and useful. Let's look at this Avatar of Perfection. The Sigvald, if you will. 15 points. You're going to put it on a monster? At the start of each phase, if there are no other friendly units within 6 inches of the bearer, you can reroll advance rolls, you can reroll charge rolls, and you can ignore any or all modifiers to its move characteristic and to any advance and or charge rolls made for the bearer. That's a lot of words. Basically, just say, make sure that you don't have any other units within 6 inches of the Keeper of Secrets who's taken this, and then they will not be modified, and they will always get to reroll charges and advances. That's just, it's a good ability. It's just strong. It's a little bit weirdly worded, but I like it. Guys, Keeper's Secrets are the best of the Greater Demons, in my opinion, like by far. They slap like, they wreck elite infantry. They go to really high AP, because they, remember, their auras naturally give all Slannesh demons +1 AP, so they're always going to be AP3. They have dev wounds. They're -1 to be hit at all times. You can make them -1 to be wounded if you include the mask, which you're 100% going to be taking the mask. And they have a 5-up Feeling of Pain. These girls are super girl guys. I don't even know what they are. These freaking models are really hard to deal with, and they hit really hard, and they move really quickly. And then you always take this 10-point enhancement called the Soul Glutton. This is basically the same thing as the Soul Stealer in the Index Detachment, which you always take as well, but it's a little cheaper, and it's maybe slightly better, maybe slightly worse, depending. So you're going to put this on a Keeper Secrets, and you'll always put it on a Keeper Secrets, no matter what. At the end of the fight phase, if one or more enemy models were destroyed, just regenerate D3 wounds. Now these Keepers are regenerating wounds in the fight phase. They're regenerating when they pass battle shocks, because that's just naturally what demons do. And they are also, as long as they're within the shadow of chaos, and of course they're always in the shadow of chaos because they're a greater demon. And then they're get a 5-up Field of Pain. They're always -1 to be hit. You can make them -1 to be wounded. It makes them unbelievable tanks. 4-up Invulnerable Save. These dudes rock. I love them. I'm probably running 3. All right, let's read these stratagems, because these stratagems are just freaking sick, and I just can't get enough of them. I'm just such a huge freaking fan. Thieves of Pain. Any phase, just after an attack or mortal wound is allocated to a model in a Legion Demonica Slannesh unit, that is, and we're not talking about monsters, that Legion Demonica Slannesh unit. Select one other Slannesh unit within 12 inches of your unit until the end of the phase. While a selected unit is on the battlefield, each time a model in your unit would lose a wound, inflict 1 mortal wound on the selected unit instead. Okay. So I don't really know. All right, all right, this is frustrating to me, because it says excluding monsters, meaning you can't pass wounds off from your Keeper Secrets onto your little demons, but you could pass off wounds from, say, your Fiends onto Daemonettes. And one cool thing that you could do is you could lead the Daemonettes with, I think it's the Infernal and Rapturous, right? She's the one who gives them the 5-up Feeling of Pain. Or is it the Contorted Epitome that does that? All right, yeah. So if you have your Daemonettes led by a Contorted Epitome, they get a 4-up Field of Pain against mortal wounds and psychic attacks. So every time you pass a wound up, you also get a 4-up Field of Pain against that wound. It's cool. I mean, this is a good stratagem. I can see interesting reasons why you might use this. Yeah, I can see that. Just a cool strat. But since it says excluding monsters, you can't pass wounds off on your monsters, which makes me a little bit sad. Anyway, Phantasmal Longing, your movement phase or your charge phase. 1 Legion Demonica Slannesh unit from your army, and until the end of the phase, you can move your model directly through terrain. That's awesome. We love it. Everyone loves everything. Super, super good. I'm just gonna check something in chat here real quick. Fun thing here is that if you can charge onto a unit wounded model in that way, killing it puts you out of engagement range. You can seduce without the enemy getting to activate. That's actually funny. Yeah, I know a lot of people are saying Soul Grinder. Are Soul Grinders vehicles or are they monsters? I actually don't know. If they're vehicles, that this could actually be quite... Yeah, they're vehicles, so they're not monsters. This could be cool in a Soul Grinder, I guess. Yeah, totally fair. That would be actually an interesting way to use that Thieves of Pain stratagem. You can just pass wounds off on the freaking... Soul Grinder. All right, that's a good point. I think that was who said that. Pac-Mensch or Pac-Humane. Good call, Pac-Humane. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty nice. So if you guys didn't follow me there, let me clarify real quick. Since the Soul Grinder has the vehicle word, if you're running a Soul Grinder, hint, I'm not running Soul Grinders, but if you want to run a Soul Grinder, you can actually just pass off mortal wounds onto your Daemonettes once you've seen how many damage the Soul Grinder has taken. And actually, interestingly enough, this says just after an attack or mortal wound is allocated to a model. So you can actually wait to see if it actually wounded and you failed your save. So you don't even have to use that at the beginning of the phase. You don't even have to use that the first time you take damage. You can suffer 6 damage and be like, you know, I don't want to take any more damage. Now I'll use this stratagem to start passing off wounds. It's actually pretty interesting. Okay, not bad. Not bad. Good pick. All right, then we have Arch Agonist. This is the 2 CP stratagem for Slannesh, and this is in the fight phase. 1 Slannesh monster unit or 2 non-monster units that have not been selected to fight this phase. And until the end of the phase, each time a model in one of those units make an attack, add 1 to the wound roll. Ooh, on demand plus 1 to wound. So you have enhancements that can give you plus 1 to wound. You've got strats that can give you plus 1 to wound. You've got models like the freaking Mask of Slannesh that can get you plus 1 to wound. This has solved the strength problem that Slannesh demons have. This detachment freaking slaps. Oh jeez, Mass Bro Effect coming in. God help GW trying to balance this game come January. Bro, GW screwed the balance up with the status slate so much, like, God help them with everything. They ruined the balance of this game with the data slate. For those of you who don't know my opinion on the most recent data slate, I think it was by far the worst balance that they've ever done. I think they've created more problems than they actually solved. That's a different video. Let's finish freaking Slannesh. We've got Cavalcade of Blades. Your charge phase just after a Legion Demonica Slannesh unit from your army ends a charge move. That Legion's Demonica Slannesh unit. Select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of your unit and then roll a d6 for each enemy model in your unit that is within engagement range of said enemy unit. Or roll 6d6 if you're a monster unit. So basically this is Tank Shock. Only it's Monster Shock or it's like Unit Shock. So you can give your Daemonettes or Fiends or really anything. You can give them the Jump Pack Assault Intercessor special ability for 1 CP. Or you can just give a D6 and every 4 up is a mortal wound for a monster. All right, 6d6 for the monster. So you're going to cause 3 mortal wounds on average for a monster, or probably more than that if you're running with a bunch of individual units. This is good. This can help you kill that transport on the charge. This can help you pick out an extra elite model. This can, actually, as someone was commenting earlier in the comment section, what you can do with this is you can say charge your freaking Keeper Secrets in, maybe kill a unit that was on 1 wound, activate your ability to reroll all hit and wound rolls. Since you're no longer in engagement range, it doesn't matter because they can't activate into you. And then when it's your turn to activate, you still get to pile in because you did charge that turn and still get to benefit. So that's a pretty cool ability. I think that works pretty well. It's always nice to be able to do mortal wounds in different phases for demons because they don't really have shooting. Unless you're Tzeentch, of course. Then we've got Sensory Excruciation. This is always going to be used in your command phase. 1 Slannesh monster that is on the battlefield. Each unit on the battlefield that is within your army's Shadow of Chaos must take a Battle Shock test, subtracting 1 from that test if they are below half strength. Wow. This is powerful. And there's a designer's note here. The stratagem forces all friendly and enemy units alike within your army's Shadow of Chaos to take a Battle Shock test. This can allow a Chaos Demons player to heal units using the Demonic Terror rule at the risk of causing some of their own units to become Battle Shocked. So in your command phase, you can just be like, you know what? I really don't like being wounded. Boom. Let's have everyone take a Shadows of Chaos test. Your big demons only have to roll a 5, and if they roll a 5, they get to heal. Because remember, demons that are within the Shadow of Chaos take their Battle Shock test at +1, whereas non-demons that are within Shadow of Chaos take it at -1. Now, if you have an enemy unit, say, on the battlefield that is under half strength, and they happen to be within your Shadow of Chaos, they're going to be taking Battle Shock at -2, which is brutal. This is an amazing stratagem. It's super powerful, and I freaking love it. I will hurt people's feelings with this. I will absolutely hurt people's feelings with this. I'll be nice about it, but then I'm going to do it. And then lastly, for the last stratagem, we've got Overwhelming Excess. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. 1 Legion's Slannesh unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attacks. This is shooting phase. I love this stratagem as well. This can completely screw your entire opponent's game plan up. The attacking unit must take a Battle Shock test, subtracting 1 from the result. Also, what happens if they're taking a Battle Shock while they're within your Shadow of Chaos? -1. Each time a model in the attacking unit makes an attack that targets your unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. That's good. You can just give yourself -1 to be hit. But if they fail, they will be Battle Shocked and until the end of the phase. The attacking unit cannot select your unit as the target of any of their attacks. Boom. Let's say the Rogaldorn moved up into position, or the new busted as hell Imperial Guard had dropped a Scion's unit just to handle your freaking Keep Your Secrets. Well, now suddenly, those nerds who just took a battle shock test at -1, potentially -2 if they're also in your Shadow of Chaos, now they can't even cheat you, and your opponent's entire game plan is just completely screwed. This stratagem is amazing. It's freaking amazing, and it's so good. Like, this is such a freaking good. All these stratagems, they stack so well with the Demon's normal army rule that it's just so powerful. It's just so damn powerful. Because remember, the Demon's normal army rule for Shadow of Chaos, your models, I always add +1 to the test, and your enemy will always be at -1 to the test. Your models can heal D3 wounds, or D3 models are returned to battle line units, but your enemy will take D3 mortal wounds if they fail their battle shock test. So the Slannesh demons list stacks with the normal demon army rules very, very well. This is by far my favorite of the 3 detachments, and I love it. What are you guys thinking? Like, so far, for everyone who's hanging out, we got 63 people in the chat, which, blessings, thanks so much for hanging out with me. I'm glad you're enjoying it. What are you thinking? What is your favorite detachment so far? I'm sold on Slannesh, but I think some of the others are pretty sick as well. Let's talk about Nurgle. Now, there are going to be some thoughts about Nurgle. Here's my initial thoughts, and I'm going to be able to run through this one probably pretty quickly. I think Nurgle probably has some of the best rule set in the entire game. The problem with Nurgle is that Nurgle demons suck. It just is what it is. The Nurgle demon, I'm also firmly convinced that when someone understands, when someone starts to understand how these Nurgle demons rules work, and they get like the flow of it, it's going to become a complete nightmare for the enemy to play against you. Because this thing does have some really good rule sets. You're just going to have to play it in a very specific way, and you're going to have to understand that you're not going to be killing your opponent, which is a very different mindset for a lot of people who are playing Warhammer. So let's get through these. Let's go ahead and read through this, and let's do it. The Plague Legion. The detachment rule is the Melancholic Miasma. While an enemy unit is within 9 inches of 1 or more Legion Demonica Nurgle units from your army. Needed a beer break, forgive me. That enemy unit is within your army's Shadow of Chaos. In each player's command phase, important, select one enemy unit within your army's Shadow of Chaos. That unit must now take a battle shock test. And remember, anytime you're taking a battle shock test within the Shadow of Chaos and you're an enemy unit, you're going to be at -1 to that test roll. So this happens in both command phases. That's very cool. That's very cool. Solid. And, well, an enemy unit is within 9 inches. Okay, so all this means, so by the way, as far as I'm reading this, your enemy does not need to be within 9 inches of a Nurgle demon to be forced to take this battle shock test. This is just saying you will count as being within the Nurgle's Shadow Chaos if you're within 9 inches of them. There's a big period there that says, so those are separate. So the army rule, so the detachment rule gives you battle shock test within 9 inches of a Nurgle demon, period. In each player's command phase, select one enemy unit within your Shadow of Chaos that doesn't have to be within 9 inches of a Nurgle unit. Then they have to take a battle shock test. That's strong. Actually, so the detachment rule is just strong. Every single command phase, basically, you get a mini Shadow in the warp. That's pretty good. Let's talk about some of these enhancements. We have the Canker Blight Aura. Canker Blight Aura for 15 points. One Nurgle model only. Each time an enemy unit, not monsters and vehicles, that is within 6 inches of the bearer fails battle shock test, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, one model in that unit is destroyed. Boom. That's strong. Each time the bearer uses this enhancement, no mortal wounds are afflicted by the army's demonic terror rule. What happens when a, Deathwing Knight squad just happens to fail a battle shock test? Boom! One of your Deathwing Knights disappears. This is strong. It's pretty good. I think it's hard to set up. It's not easy to set up, right? Because of just like the models that you're going to have to put this on, whether it's the Spoils Bricks, Spoil Scrivener, whatever, I can't say it. I think it's not the easiest thing to set this up, but it is strong. Someone just made a comment. So, Aurea Strange wanted to ask me, can I explain why I say Nurgle might be OP? I don't think they're OP, bro. I think the army rule is a lot better than people are giving it credit for. I think this is probably going to be the weakest, but there's going to be some seriously strong ways to run it still once people get the flow of it. I'll do list ideas maybe at the end if you guys want it, but I'll probably do list ideas in a separate video when I have some time to like think through this, because I want to bring you guys like more quality stuff for that. Let's go talk about the Maggot Maws for 15 points. Legion Demonica Nurgle model only, so this can go on your big boys. In your shooting phase, select one enemy unit that is within 6 inches of the bearer. That enemy unit must take a battle shock test and then roll 1d6. On a 3-up, they suffer d3 mortal wounds. Dude, listen, real talk. Also, you can't. No mortal wounds are inflicted by demonic terror rule. Okay, real talk. This detachment puts out a ton of battle shock. So every single command phase, one of your opponent's models is just going to take a battle shock test, as long as they're within Shadow of Chaos, which isn't that hard to get, especially considering all they got to do is be within 9 inches of any one of your models. Then they can cause them with the Cankle Blight aura. Now the Maggot Maws in the shooting phase, boom, take another battle shock test. This is just really strong. Droning Shroud for 35 points. This is an aura. You have to put this on a big boy. While a friendly Nurgle unit is within 6 inches, that unit can only be targeted by range attacks if the attacking model is within 18. This is amazing. This will make this list work. Because turn 1, basically, you're just going to have everything within 6 inches of one greater unclean one, and your opponent can't shoot you. Your opponent just can't shoot you unless they want to come up the board, which is what you as the Nurgle player desperately want them to do, because you will never reach them of your own accord because you're so slow. So this is going to force your opponent to be coming to you. That's cool. This is a great stratagem, and it basically just means, boom, you don't need Be'lakor in your army, which is very nice, because Be'lakor is such a tax. Then we have Fonts of Spores, or 20 points. One is going to go on a big boy. While a friendly Nurgle unit is within 6 inches, improve the AP of their weapons by 1. This is just good. AP for your sweep attack on your freaking greater unclean ones suddenly goes up to AP2. You're going to stack that with also having Rodicus. Now, Rodicus is going to be adding +1 in damage, so your sweep attack is going to be AP2 at damage 2. Your big boy attack is going to go to AP3 with D6 +1. Your Rodicus attacks are going to go up to AP3 with damage 4. Like, this just gets really, really good. You could do some really crazy things here. You could have, like, Nurglings, or you could have Plague Bearers. Now your Plague Bearers get AP. This is actually gets really, really cool. It allows you to put out a lot more damage than people are expecting. Steeping Virulence is going to be our first stratagem in this detachment. When the fight phase, one Nurgle unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase. And until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, it rolls up a 5-up, score a critical hit. Basically, everything has lethal in this detachment, and I think one of the characters gives sustained hits. If someone could shout it out, I forget which character it is, but one of them gives out the one of them gives out sustained hits. So boom, suddenly lethals on 5s. Lethals on 5s is actually really devastating in this detachment. Think about some of the models in here. Whether it's Plague Drones, or whether it's hilariously Nurglings. One of my favorite things to do is take Nurglings and just make them damage 2 because they're Rodicus is going to point at a unit and make them damage 2. Actually, that's really funny, because now you can get your Nurglings AP1 from being within your Greater and Clean One's aura. Then you can give them lethals on 5s. Dude, that's just Nurglings killing rhinos. That's freaking hilarious. So this strat is just good. On demand crits on 5s. Everyone loves it. Rot and Renewal for 1 CP, your movement phase or your charge phase. One Nurgle unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a move, it can move through terrain. Okay, so every single detachment, it has the ability to move through terrain. Boom. There it is. David Trujillo. Sorry, man, I butchered your name, but I love you. Herald is crits on 5s. Scribe gives sustained. All right, cool. So it's the Spoiled Prox Scrivener is the Scribe that gives you sustained hits. So you can get sustained and lethal on 5s on a unit of Plague Bearers and at AP1. Suddenly they hit way harder than your opponent was ever expecting. That's actually really good. And you can make them damage 2 with, Rodica. It's the buffs. It's the buffs that you can stack and the crazy amounts of battle shocks that you give that makes this detachment doable. But it's going to be hard. This is not going to be an easy detachment to run. Fever Visions for 1 CP in your shooting phase or the fight phase. One Nurgle unit that has not been selected to shoot or fight. Till the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, add +1 to the hit roll. And then after your unit has finished making its attack, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks, and they have to take Battle Shock test. And remember, that Battle Shock test will be at -1, and if your opponent fails it, remember, now they are going to suffer D3 mortal wounds. It's just every single activation just hammers them with that Battle Shock and then that extra mortal wounds. This detachment is not bad. Merc Shadows, your movement phase. One Nurgle infantry unit. Infantry unit? Why didn't they just say Plague Bearers? I think Plague Bearers are the only infantry unit they have. Yeah, they should have just said Plague Bearers. Unless they're planning on adding more Plague Bearers to it. Right, until the end of the phase, each time your unit makes a normal move, add 5 to the move characteristic of models in your unit. Okay, so it just gives your Plague Bearers move 10. I guess. They don't have to... Yeah, alright. That's good. So now you don't have to advance. Or you could advance, and then you could maybe, if you roll 6, your Plague Bearers could maybe just move 16 inches. Who knows? That's cool. That's useful, especially for the fact that you're always trying to get your Plague Bearers to proc the sticky objectives. That's actually nice. That helps a lot. Then we've got 2 more stratagems. This is the 2 CP stratagem for the Nurgle one. Your command phase, 1 Nurgle unit from your army that is on the battlefield. Return up to 1 destroyed model to your unit. Or up to D3 destroyed models instead if your unit is battle line. With the full wounds remaining. If it's a monster unit, 1 model or unit regains up to D3 plus 1 lost wounds instead. What monster units do they have? Oh, right. Just choose any monster unit and give them plus D3. All right. So this is a really cool healing stratagem. Let's kind of talk through this. D3 destroyed models is on like a battle line unit, say like Plague Bearers. I think if you really want to do that, you just give the bell to your greater and clean one. It's gonna help you return Plague Bearers anyway. I wouldn't ever use 2 CP to regenerate them unless that would give us the ability to like say steal an objective. Hey man, listen, 2 CP. Regenerate D3. Suddenly you get onto an objective you weren't on and you steal it. Okay, pretty useful. But really, you're always going to be using this on probably Beast of Nurgle. Because Beast of Nurgle are really tough to shift. They have a bunch of wounds and they can't... If you don't deal all the damage, all of their wounds in a single phase, they immediately heal. So you can't plink them. You can't deal some damage in shooting, some damage in melee. You have to kill them in one shot. I think they're like T9 as well, which makes them pretty hard to deal with. So let me just pull up their stat line here for you. Yeah, all right, so Beast of Nurgle are T9 with a 5-up invulnerable save, 7 wounds each. They have a special rule that at the end of each phase, if a Beast of Nurgle model in this unit has lost any wounds but is not destroyed, the model regains all of its lost wounds. So if you take them in units of 2, and your opponent kills 1 and leaves 1-on-1 wound, well, that 1-on-1 wound is now going to heal to full, and then you're going to spend 2 CP and you're just going to regenerate the next model. That's strong. That's pretty strong. I like that. I think that's useful. And then lastly, we have Plague of Woes. When your opponent's command phase, before selecting any targets for the Miasma detachment rule. All right, so the detachment rule, which is in both command phases, one of your opponent's units that are within the Shadow of Chaos have to take a battle shock test, which will always be at -1, remember. All right, 1 Nurgle unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, after an enemy unit takes a battle shock test as a result of the Melancholic Miasma detachment roll, select 1 other enemy unit within 9 inches of your unit. That enemy unit must now take a battle shock test. Okay, so you can just proc it twice. Cool. But that's only in your opponent's command phase, so you can't do this in your command phase. So you just point at 2 of your opponent's units that are... Now, this one does require you to be within 9 inches of your unit. Okay. Interesting. Guys, this is cool. You have so many battle shock mechanisms that are applying here. This detachment works. My favorite, by far and away, is going to be Slannesh. So the Slannesh detachment is definitely my favorite. I think the Khorne one is cool. I think the Tzeentch one is very strong. I think you have some really good abilities in that. And then this Nurgle one, I think, is a lot better than other people will think it is. If you are a mono god player for Demons of Chaos, guys, you guys should be happy because all of these are sick and they all rock. And remember, if you don't like any of these, you're still able to go play the old index detachment because it's not gone. It's not like that magically disappeared. Just like with all of these Grotmist detachments, if you don't like the new rule set, play with your old rule set. No one says that you had to stop playing with your old rule set. They still exist. So this is awesome. I love all these. What I'll probably do is I think I'm going to take this live stream and I'm going to split it into 4 sections and post them as individual videos if you guys want to revisit them and review them. I think that'll make it easier for you guys just to revisit. So I think we'll do it that way. Let me see what some of you guys are saying here in chat. Extra movement for solo characters as well. Yeah, okay, so that's a good point. Your solo characters, you can give them extra movement if you're trying to get like I think it's the Sloppity Biopiper who will cause battle shocks within 6 inches. So if you're trying to get them up the ward, that makes sense. David says he misses the Fort Field of Pain. Bro, you can just go play the index detachment and you'll still have the Fort Field of Pain. But yeah, I kind of agree that 18-inch loan up roll is probably better. And remember, your greater and clean ones do give a 6-up Feel No Pain to all other Nurgle demons. And since you're going to be spamming them, basically your entire army is going to have a 6-up Feel No Pain, which really is pretty nice. With all the battle shock tests that you're going to be spamming out there and you're going to be taking, the mortal wound output of this army is actually pretty bonkers. Guys, I love it. I think this is awesome. If you guys enjoyed this, please share the channel with your friends. Hit the like button because that is what's going to allow me to continue doing this. I am really close to being able to do this full time. And that's kind of the dream. So I'm working really hard on it. So I'm going to continue bringing you guys content I love, and I appreciate all of you guys. And I think we're going to go and end it here. If you haven't joined the Happy Corrupted Wargaming Discord, you should. We have a major announcement tomorrow. Be on the lookout for that video because things are about to get spicy. With that, I'm going to end it, and I hope you all have an amazing freaking day. Happy Corrupting. Bye-bye.